Hello, everyone. This is Sarah Halstead from Synergy Home Care.
And I'm Chad Weston from Southern Care Hospice. Welcome back, everybody. Just before the break, Sarah, you were talking a little bit with me about seasonal affective disorder, and the January blues is really the way we were talking about the what it looks like, what we see.
And we decided that Sunny Side Up was the most amazing title for our show because of the fact that we've been talking about the lack of sun and how it's kind of difficult in January. We have so many challenges, and so we're trying to beat the January blues.
Beat the January blues.
We talked about a number of reasons why this can happen for us, a little bit about what it was, but now let's get into what is it that we can actually do. How can we turn this around? How can we make this better? And I do think, although we just touched on this, I do think that we need to bring this up so that we're careful with all of our listeners and with everyone out there who may know somebody who could be struggling, that it is important for us to reach out and get help if we need it, and to make sure that those around us get help if they need it. And sometimes that's professional help. It may be that a person needs to kind of reach out and visit with a counselor for a little while, talk with a trusted friend, but it also could be more severe than that. And so we want to make sure that we share with all the listeners the suicide hotline number in case anybody is feeling very, very depressed about things. And so I want to just throw that out there. It's 1-800-273-TALK, the letters TL or TALK, or it's just 1-800-273-8255.
I think it's important that you bring that up as well, and I can't reiterate enough that people out there, our friends, people around us, they're going to struggle with things, and they might not feel comfortable reaching out to certain individuals. So you may come across a friend that says, hey, I'm not okay, and we want you to have all the resources out there to know where to go and what to do. So again, keeping in the theme of sunny side up, we certainly want to look at the bright side, but some people that are dealing with things that aren't so bright are we want to make sure they don't feel like they're without resources. So certainly we want to be the someone, and someone should do something about that.
Right. We want to make sure that people are around to see the sun for a long time, and sometimes we do that by being a good friend.
Well, now, if we had talked just briefly about things that we can do about this, and I'm wondering, Sarah, tell me, it's January blues season here. What can we do about?
Well, there's a lot we can do, actually, and one of those is to flat out make a point of reconnecting with other people socially. Making that excuse to get out and get together. You and I met for coffee this morning. I mean, and it's pretty cold, but we met anyway. So making that appointment to get together with a friend. It might be making a phone call and reconnecting with someone that you haven't talked to in quite a while, just to reach out and say, how are things going, and maybe share some memories or laugh about some things that have happened.
I think about the end of last month. Everyone got together with family, people that are closest to you, and maybe friends did get a little bit neglected because you're always with family for those holidays. So again, like you said, it's a great idea. Make a commitment, a committed effort to say, I want to meet with some friends, catch up on things, see how their New Year's, their holidays were good. That's a good.
And it seems like we have this one event that happens. It used to be in January. Now I think it's in February. That the world seems to come around. Something about a sporting event, some bigger
kind of. I'm not sure.
Football game.
I haven't. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but I know that people seem to.
They get together.
And they really enjoy. And
So there's that coming up. But why couldn't we create an event like that for ourselves? Why couldn't we have a reason for us to get together with friends, whether it's a dinner party or playing games or whatever, just a chance to get together. And it's okay to schedule it and then realize that, we are dealing with weather in Wisconsin. We may have to reschedule it, but put it on the calendar. Make that effort and see if you can't gather around a fireplace somewhere and exchange stories and some hot chocolate.
And that sounds like I think we're going to do that after. I believe that would be very, very appropriate for after. You had mentioned something about a fireplace. I'm thinking our homes. One of the things that we can try to do is make our homes January blues proof. I guess is the catchphrase there. And what that means essentially is get those blinds opened up. Let that sun come on in. Even rearranging your furniture as a fresh start to the new year, near windows when you're sitting and you're enjoying things. A lot more time with that sunlight that we're so desperately in need of, and that we're not getting.
Yeah, and it's been a good excuse for me to do that. It seems like every year this happens. It gets to be January, February, and I'm sick of snow and I'm tired of winter, and I just get this craving for some new houseplants. So I go out and I buy some nice nice green living things, and I put them in my house, and they need light. So I gotta make sure that the blinds are out or up, and that there's plenty of sunlight coming in. So
if
it makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, if the world outside is cold, bring the plants inside to you. That's how we can cope with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's another thing that has kind of been increasing in popularity. We've heard about it the last few years here, but it's something that is so simple and can make such a big difference for people. And that's this whole idea. Even if you can't necessarily connect with someone, socially, you can do something all by yourself that's going to help, and that is get one of those adult coloring books. Sit down with some pencils or small markers or whatever, and take those books and color. I mean, just like you used to do when you were a kid.
Sarah, I got to stop you there. And for those that are listening, if you're driving, if you're wherever you might be, can you talk about what's an adult coloring book? I think when I was a kid, it was that simple thing. You stay within the lines,
right.
Pretty colors.
So what's the difference? And what is it? Yeah. So really, it's the same concept. It's the things you might be interested in when you were a kid. Maybe it was a certain Disney character and you wanted to color that, or some superhero or whatever. There are so many different themes now. If you like gardens, you can get a coloring book that's intricate designs with flowers and gardens and what have you. If you like architecture, you can find one like that. My daughter got one for Christmas that was it was like her favorite cartoons from when she was a kid, and loves it. So whatever you're interested in, there may be already a book out there that you can get that's kind of fun. It kind of takes you back to when you were a kid. The intricate designs that you can fill in, and sometimes it's just geometric shapes. Sometimes it's different designs that are like I said, an architectural design or something creative. Having that pen or paper or pen or pencil in your hand and actually just coloring, not thinking, but filling in those lines, helps you to de-stress. Studies show that it actually activates both sides of our brain when we're doing that, and you end up kind of going into what's sort of like a meditation state. Your brain shuts off for a little while. It helps you to reduce the anxiety that you might be experiencing. It can help to spark creativity, and come up with new ideas for things. But it slows down that worry cycle that sometimes happens in our minds, and just, like I said, it helps us kind of connect to that simpler time when we were just kids.
For those of you listening, you can't see in the studio right now, but as Sarah's talking, my anxiety level, blood pressure has dropped down, and all I want to do right now is go out and get my Battle of the Planets G-Force adult coloring book and just go back to being a kid, because you're right, it does bring us back and make us that calm, comfortable center of the world where all I got to do is color.
Yep.
And that's all I really need to worry about. So yeah.
But the great thing about it is it's not just for kids anymore. There are coloring groups that get together. I think there's one in Waupaca here that actually gets together, and it's all ages, all abilities. Everyone can color. You can just use your own creativity, and there's so many different opportunities that it does. We're recognizing the benefit of that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's one simple way that you don't even have to go out if it's too cold. You can just sit down with a coloring book and your favorite pencils and help yourself.
I want to see the expression of most of your friends' faces when they ask what you're doing, and you say, "I'm just coloring in my coloring book."
I'm just coloring in my coloring book.
We talk about like just things that you wouldn't think about, unconventional things. Another thing we can do is look at our New Year's resolutions, and rather than saying what I want to do for this year, reflect. That was one of the suggestions that we found. Instead of looking at what I didn't do last year that I have to do better this year. Or change. Let's reflect back and say, what was amazing about last year?
Yeah.
Let's take a moment to sit and say, yeah, really, these memories I had. Think of something that made you laugh. Time with your kids, time with family, friends. Look at some pictures and reflect on what you've done. We always look forward, but we never look back the right way sometimes.
Where did you grow this year?
Right?
Where did you get stronger or
Great
better?
way of saying that, exactly.
Who have you met that enhanced your life that you didn't, have as a part of your life before? Yeah.
So that reflection thing is important. So if you're feeling the January blues, look back to the things that you did get to do.
Right. Count your blessings.
Count your blessings. Exactly.
Right. It goes back to something we've talked about before in our show, and that's that attitude of gratitude. Just kind of reflecting back on the things that went well, because there have been good things in all of our lives. So
we talk about dreaming really quick. we're supposed to have dreams and goals for the new year. Well, I guess one of the things that we never seem to get enough of is sleep, and sleep kind of brings us dreams. So again, out there in this January blues time, all we want to do is sleep, and that may not be a bad thing. You may want to catch up on some of that if you can catch up. Just pillow, blanket, maybe those books you never got to.
Sure.
Start a book, do something like that again. The dream is this dreaming through sleep might be exactly what you need versus dreaming about all the things you want to do that year that maybe you might not get to and feel bad about. That following New Year's.
Giving yourself permission to kick back and relax for a little while, take that nap or rest a little bit. Maybe go to bed an hour earlier just because. Just because you can.
Just for you, exactly.
You know? I mean, that's a great way to treat yourself every now and then. Now, you would want to be careful that if you see your patterns going to a place where you're sleeping a lot, or you're looking to only sleep to escape the reality of those depressive days, then you need to be a little bit more worried about where you're going with that. But for that, every now and then, take a break.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think we can all agree that, I could really sleep in for another hour. I'd really like that. Giving yourself almost like a time out or a time in to take that time and nurture yourself. But you're right.
It's an easy way to treat yourself. Yeah. Now, Chad, you shared a story when we were preparing for this particular episode about something about a beach, and I know that just sounds really, really good right about now. Yeah, so can you share that?
I know everyone's excited about the beach portion of this, and everyone wants to fly away, but unfortunately, our finances with the December month. Well, one of the things that we came across, obviously, when doing this, is the lack of sunlight. There is quite a few studies out there that shows that exposure to sunlight obviously is going to make us feel better. And so what they've done is they've created what's called a seasonal affective disorder light or lamp or a sun lamp. Now, some of you might remember the ones from years ago. What this is just a light that you can purchase online, ranging from 20 to 50 on the low end to upper hundreds, even more on the high end. And what you do is you sit in front of it, and that is it. That's all you need to do. You sit in front of it and relax. You don't think about other things you don't need to be thinking about. And it's this bright source of light in these months when you just don't have a lot. And the suggestion is that you put it somewhere and you kind of surround yourself with things that you like, things that calm you, maybe some good music, some aromatherapy, and just absorb the light. And it certainly does help with mood.
So you kind of create your own beach.
Your own beach. Now, I would not recommend sand because it's hard to vacuum, but you could put a little sand and put your hand in it on whatever table.
But just having that light, just as if it was the sun. Yeah.
Again, it's that lack of sunlight that's really kind of the cause of a lot of this. And so those lamps, those sun lamps that we can use, certainly can help compensate for those times when we don't have the sun at our fingertips.
Right. So you can close your eyes and imagine some of those things sort of melting away. I mean, it can be pretty cold, but melt that stuff away, and just know that it'll get better. And this is the other thing that I think you and I talked about, which is so true this time of the year. Is we're surrounded by ice. It's very cold. It's an awful thing, and yet we know that changes. We know that will eventually change.
If I can throw out a quick story with that, back in college when we were talking about therapy, a story of a woman who was really depressed during the winters, and it was suggested to her that go sit by the river and watch the ice. And she wasn't sure why would I have to do this? I'm already feeling down. I'm already cold. I don't want to do this. So she did that for about 15 minutes every day, and she followed through, and suddenly she went back to report, there's a crack in the ice. And every time she went back, she noticed it got bigger, and she started to recognize that spring is around the corner, that this frozen cold moment is a moment in time. It is not a future. It won't always be like this. And that was enough to give her some hope that, okay, I'm going to be all right here. I can see that, this cold is coming to an end, that it follows a cycle, and that I won't have to, I'm not locked into this. It's temporary.
Right.
It's a moment that...
It will get better. There will be a sunny side coming up.
There will be a sunny side up.
Well, that's great. And I know we like to leave our listeners with just a little challenge for the month, something that they can do. And I guess we would suggest during January that you try one of these tips that we've talked about, some of the things that you could actually do to beat those January blues, to help you in your ability to cope and to come out on the sunny side of things by the end of the month. So we would definitely encourage you to give one of those a try.
And I think if I can throw this out here, I think we should, in honor of our listeners, we should also try one of these. Do you have one that you would like to try? Or that
Oh my gosh.
I'm putting you on the
I
spot.
gotta tell you, I have a coloring book at home that I haven't used in a while, and I really ought to. So, Chad, you go ahead and you give me a call at some point, and you ask, what are you doing? I'm going to be telling you, yeah, I'm sitting here coloring. How about
sunny
you?
Sunny side up coloring book. I will
So I'm
join you
going
in
to do
that.
that, yes.
I will join you in that endeavor, and we'll see how January goes and how things go as well.
Excellent. And we hope our listeners pick something as well and are able to use these tips so that you can also look at the sunny side of things. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We love getting together with you here on WILW, and we look forward to our next episode with you. Thanks.